Deltarune! Okay. So, I played Deltarune, finally. Chapters 1 through 4. And I swear to Peck and everything holy, if Chapter 5 releases early 2026 and makes this video obsolete very quickly, I will lose all of my marbles. But that has nothing to do with this. Why is the funny robot talking about in-game Deltarune instead of doing my normal gaming montage nonsense? Well, today I think instead of showing my gameplay and letting streams speak for themselves, I'd rather bring you on a journey, tell you a story, and this has nothing to do with the fact that I have so much corrupted audio. So much corrupted audio. Okay, so, Deltarune, hit game by that Toby guy, who is apparently popular for some other game. Nude Alert, I think, was the anagram. Or at least I think that's what the anagram is. Never bothered to read or even play that game. But hey, there's always next time. For this game, we're Christopher Columbus, surrounded by several internet OCs, and I'm sure this one, burbly, won't be plot relevant. We go get some tasty chalk, and don't boy, death falling scary, oh god, oh good lord, oh heavens, oh god, oh jeez, oh god! Oh, hey, we got neat fits now. We meet this guy, and he's a nerd. Nerd! Oh no, that's just Susie. Editor, next frame. We meet this guy, and he's a nerd! Yep, that's the right one. Thanks, cloaked figure. Oh my god, it's Lancer! Okay, I'm gonna be quick with all this, and this is gonna be one of the parts I'm gonna actually make important, because mostly, let's be honest, it's chapter 1. Lancer, he'll be important. I love this guy. But also, I'm not here to give you a whole recap on the game. I'm keeping this real. I'm keeping this honest. I'm not here to recap the whole game for you. You've seen this game. It's been out for a long time. It's 2026, y'all. Go look up when Deltarune released. It was too long ago. But yeah, that's why I just want to give my opinion on what I thought of this game. Even if I'm probably going to get, like, borderline executed for it, because I heard that people really like this game. And I think I'm indifferent. Scary. But yeah. I think I'll be keeping chapter 1 and 2 shorter, again, for reasons mentioned earlier. And let's make chapter 1 extra quick, because I don't think I had any more than 2 hours of footage. And it can be summed up as Lancer Gaming, damn legs, thrash yodele tokis. Gosh dang it! First tried, bozo. Boss battle 1, go, seal the fountain, chapter end. And that would be chapter 1. And then for chapter 2, we're going to have much the same, even though I had more than 2 hours of footage. I still think that it was relatively well-known at this point, and, you know, we can make it also a quick explanation and then go deeper in on it later. Chapter 2 begins exposition, the school, the holiday of December, except not the holiday of December, because December's a month. All my friends are in my pewter. Queen is the peakest of peaks. The peakest peak of peaks. You don't even understand. Then we have Burtley, Sportsy. Okay. Attack of the Killer Queen attacks. He shows up. And then we get Punch Out. This game is peak. And then we get exposition again, and then the fountain doesn't work, and yada yada yada. That's my bad outline for the game. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that the ADHD people have enjoyed the first, what, I think it's showing like 4 minutes of recording that was. There you go. You got my quick explanation out of the way for the game. Now for the people who are staying. Let's give this game a more real talk. I like Chapter 1. I think Chapter 1 is effectively a tutorial level. But the introduction to our 3 little characters is pretty nice. Susie is violent and wants to warmonger until the end of time, until she finds out the power of friendship and decides that violence is bad because she'd have to hurt Lancer, and Lancer is the most wholesome little fella. Chris, I think, is supposed to be like your self-insert OC until he's like not your self-insert OC, but that's plot for a later chapter, so we'll just call him the self-insert OC for now. I guess he's also like the team leader. And then we have Rouse. Rouse is anxious. And then Lancer is just unfiltered perfection, a small ball of fella. This chapter goes on with very few actual story pieces. And it's more character building, which is okay. The most I could recall as I was, like, making the script before looking over footage because I didn't want to, like, look over footage, remember everything. I want to see what I actually remembered of the game. The most I remember is making the Thrashiotukis machine, and it's incredibly plot relevant for an upcoming chapter, which I think is hilarious. But past that, I mean, King was like a really cool fight and actually has like a beautiful, beautiful soundtrack. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't even know what's going on, but Chaos King is such a nice track. Susie and Lancer were cool. They had their moments all the time between like Salsa Stomp and their little store. But I think that was most of what I actually remember. I think that Chapter 1 was all character moments and so little about the story. Like, or else I kept trying to talk about this plot, but didn't follow through on anything, and I think that was, like, kind of the point. You know, you weren't supposed to get any of the plot yet. But this is actually something I will be revisiting, because it's actually an issue I see later on in the game. I feel like that's something we'll just need to address when we get to that point, though. Probably when we hit the point where we're talking about Chapter 4. But that's really most of Chapter 1 for me. Like, I did the secret boss, I did all of that. Chapter 1 just doesn't have a lot. And I mean, that's okay, though. It was a free tutorial chapter. That's alright. But yeah, I mean, like, that's just my take on it. I think Chapter 1 was good, it had character moments, I like the character moments, but past that, not really much. Now then, Chapter 2, I've got way more to say. Let's talk Chapter 2, before this video actually just, like, goes eternally long, because I know the moment we start talking about Chapter 4, specifically, we're gonna be here for, like, 15 minutes. Oh god. Okay, so, remember this guy I mentioned won't be plot relevant? Say hello to Birdly. I actually don't hate this guy. I exaggerate it a little bit, just a pinch, but I really don't hate him. Actually, unfortunately, I believe he's well written and probably the most realistic nerdy teenager character I've seen in a long time, and I hate to see that. Really hate to see that. Also say hello to Noelle. She's scared, and is being tortured for eternity. And that's just it. She's just kind of tortured. She also likes kissing girls, which is cool, because I also think kissing girls is cool. Good work, Noelle. Now then, who was the one who tortured Noelle and confused the little deer in headlights? That'd be the Queen Deltarune. Okay. Here, we're at the point where I'm just going to say this all at once. I think Queen might be the best character in Deltarune. Because I don't think I've had a more comedic character in a long time in a story writing. Because on one point, I think Queen is like genuinely an accurate representation of what an AI would look like if it was trying to take over the world. That's something I'll point on later, but she's so good. We're afraid of AI taking over the world right now, but Queen, I mean, she'd probably do it. She'd just be like, hey humans, I want you to be satisfied and just let me do my job. Because she just thinks we're all stupid enough to do it. And I mean, for most of us, she's right. I mean, Queen's onto something. She's great. She's great about comedic timing. She has a great boss theme. She's a good, like, antagonist for the series, for this chapter. And I like Chapter 2 as a whole, because I think Queen's character gets to show more, because this is gonna sound weird, but I think that Chapter 2 and 3 are like filler chapters. Except for like 5 minutes of exposition each of them each have. And Queen does her job so well at being an exposition chapter antagonist. She's just being a goofball. And she balances well with the other characters because she's like, she has an actual response to them. That's another thing. I felt like sometimes characters weren't talking to each other. I know one of the whole things at the start was, hey, your choices don't matter, and then it became your choices did matter, because in Chapter 2 we have this whole Snowgrave thing, and clearly your choices matter there. But what actually was it? What did our choices mean? Do they matter? Do they not? What am I supposed to expect? I'm still wondering that as I play this game. And that's not exactly a bad thing. I just think that right now the game is writing out its plot. And I have to also say, just while I'm at this, I'm going to have to point an initial bit of negativity towards the chapter system. I don't like chapter systems in games. I think they're probably the worst thing that's come to gaming is the concept of chapter systems. Just let me buy my game, please. That's a separate rant. This, though, I think that Deltarune can be really good. I just need to see it finished through. Right now, I have to say, Chapter 2 as a whole. It just, breaking on those, like, 3 characters that have been added, if we look at the chapter itself, it's so good. It's exploring cyberspace. You go to the library, I believe it was, and you take this journey basically into the laptop. And from there, you're in the digital world fighting literal, like, malware and spam on the constant advertising streets. There's a hacker, which is just a mouse cursor. Which, by the way, he has one of the coolest puzzles later on, where you need to wait to see where his mouse cursor head turns into, like, a click icon. Oops. There was... The crew of beatbox guys, I want to call them, they were Captain something. Captain Sweetie, I want to say it was? Something like that. They're so silly, I love them. But it was... This chapter felt very alive, and all the characters felt so silly together. They were all just living out fantasy still. Birdley and Noelle thought it was like a dream. Queen knew full well that and just kept goofing around. Susie still just thought this was make-believe. Chris is still stuck with us. And Rouse is still having anxiety. It's all of these characters exploring the mini-games too, like just the small what would be considered mini-games. Like the teacup going up. So fun. And also the secret boss. I didn't mention secret boss chapter 1 because actually I don't remember much about that fight. I just remember I did it, first tried it, and said, wow, because everyone thought that was so difficult, apparently. And chapter 2 secret boss was just silly because it was Mr. Spamton himself, the guy we found in the garbage can. And he wakes up and says, I have chosen violence. Which is fair. Honestly, it's frankly fair. I understand. I understand his meaning. But after that, you go through Queen's Castle. Everyone has their own little rooms, and it's amazing. And oh lord. Just oh lord, the Queen's Palace was so all over the place. We had Ruxel cards, which I also didn't touch up too much on Chapter 1 because he just kind of shows up once, becomes a shopkeep, and does nothing else. But in this one, he has a bigger role, just showing you how it's pronounced rules. And while he's showing you how it's pronounced rules, he's doing his thing. He's doing his thing. It's that simple. He's good. He's great. The whole palace is just wacky and zany and all this fun stuff. And then you go to fight Queen, have this great battle. Everyone's like really gathering together and doing their like character arc finishers. And then you have... and then it turns into Punch-Out and Newbert's there. And the Thrash Your Tookus machine is there. Everything is there. And it's awesome. It's really good. I had some weird moments still, though, and it was always when they were trying to give story. Because, like I said, I don't know, but Chapter 2 felt like a filler chapter. And I like that it was just being fun. I don't know. the eternal fight is it just gonna be fun or not? Because, like, what am I supposed to be expecting story, or am I supposed to be expecting Goofy? I'm gonna keep saying that because that was my problem this whole time. Is like, am I expecting story, or am I expecting Goofy? Is this a comedic game? Yes. But is it also a non-comedic game? Yes. Does it balance those well? Yes. Do I know whenever one thing is happening and when the other isn't? No! I don't! It's everywhere and I just don't get it. Like, what am I supposed to feel in this scene? I don't know! That you have this whole battle, Queen wins and is feeling triumphant. I'm like, oh my gosh, the heroes and the villains are clashing. And then Ralsei's like, oh, hold on. You must hear my exposition before you kill us. Wait, dude! I wanted to see the resolution! I wanted to see it! What did the battle look like? I was so hooked on that, and then I got literally exposition blocked. I don't know how to feel about that, because the exposition gets reiterated 14 more times in the follow-up chapters. With like a crumb more detail every time. And at this point, I can't tell you enough about how the legend has 3 heroes. A monster, a human, and a Prince of Dark. And they gotta stay the world from the rumbling because it's Attack on Titan now. Chapter 2 was great. But it was also weird. That's okay. That was alright. It was good. And I think that's actually most of what I have to say on Chapter 2. Again, I'm trying not to beat Chapter 1 and 2 to death. Because I feel like everyone here has surely seen Chapter 1 and 2. They're old. They're old as can be. Chapter 3 and 4, though. I definitely have a lot more opinions. I think my favorite chapter is by far Chapter 2. Because there's so much I can say good about it. And so little I actually have to say bad about it. But yeah, Chapter 3. Chapter 3. I know this is like the long-awaited one. It's like, what? Just half a year ago after I got this video out? I don't even know. Oh god, it was last like college semester. It was a while ago. I don't know. 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 It's so weird. I don't know. Chapter 3 was weird. I liked Tenna a lot. Like, obviously he was the first thing you see. Tenna's the TV. The boogieing TV. I love him. But also, what was happening in Chapter 3? It was like another filler chapter, like I said. Like, it was just... We just turned into a game show. That's okay. I think the whole, like, game show thing was really, really good, actually. I like that was the thing. The whole, like, Zelda, called that classic Zelda. Just... that, all the other mini games you played, like literally having a rhythm game. I was playing on Switch as well, so I got to have all like the weird Switch 2 experience upgrades, and those were really fun. Like really, really fun. I don't even know how to describe it. It was awesome. It was great. I loved it. Yeah, no, thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. I loved the integration of the Switch 2 mechanics. The minigames, just everything. I was having so much fun with those. I really liked Chapter 3. Tenna was really the only new character here. And I think that Tenna's role was really important to, like, the whole thing there. But I definitely feel like that was a moment for our characters to grow more. And they didn't, because, I mean, filler. But, I mean, it was such good filler. I don't know how to, like, say it. But everything in Chapter 2 and 3 was just really good filler. Which is not normally something you say about filler, but, like, you know, there can be good filler. There's, like, look at Naruto. There's a few good Naruto episodes. I guess there's that. But it's just good. It's just one of those things that was good. And I don't really have a lot to say about it, though, because I don't remember it. I look at Chapter 3 and I think, there's the funny Tenna. There's the boss fight at the end. There's the mini-games. But if you actually ask me to remember the game past that, I don't. I don't remember much of what was actually happening. I remember we played Zelda for a bit, because it was like half the chapter. I remember Tenna because he was literally all over the place. But I didn't remember until looking back at the video and after writing some of the script, which also I've partially given up on scripting this thing. I don't feel like I was giving my actual thoughts on it. When I was scripting, it was really lazy. But I forgot that Ruxel Cards was back in Chapter 3, and he had a whole thing with the weather people. And basically, like, the only thing I remember was being kidnapped onto a game show, the host getting depressed, and we kept playing his games until we escaped and everything got weird and cold. And then it was the finale. And I remember, like, nothing else in between. And I don't think that's good. I was hoping, I don't know, I guess I was just hoping to see, like, myself actually remembering more of this. Because, again, I said so much on Chapter 2. I said so many things about Chapter 2. And I really mean it. I think Chapter 2 is such a good chapter. It's got so much that I want to remember because I care about the characters, I care about the things that happened. I thought it was fun, I thought it was goofy. This chapter felt like it was Chapter 2, but more focused on minigames. And I sure remember the minigames, but nothing else. And that worries me a little bit, because if we're going to have more stuff like that in future chapters, which Chapter 4, I mean, we had, like, minigame adjacent things. But if it's more just, I remember a minigame and nothing else, or I just don't remember the minigames, they're such a large part, then it's a little worrying. I don't know if it's going to be like that. I don't know. But Chapter 3 as a whole, like, I liked it. But I don't know. I wish it was more established. I wish we had more to talk about with Chapter 3 than we're in the TV studio. And that's what it is. It's so weird. Then, I mean, I don't know. That's all I got. After that, I do remember the finale part, the Black Knight, Roaring Knight, whatever it was. The Knight. The Knight was by far the pinnacle of that chapter. By far the pinnacle of that chapter. Seeing the Knight show up was awesome. Genuinely. I was like a child when I saw it. Because I'm like, oh, this is the big threat we've been looking for. This is the Knight. And the battle was so cool. And I also just had that thing corrupted, so I'm not going to have that at the end of this video, and I'm going to be sad because I did the Roaring Knight fight without getting all the armor. And, well, I mean, now I just have, like, really, really bad footage of it. But, yeah, the Roaring Knight was awesome. That scene just, oh, man. I don't even know what to say more about it other than it was just cool. After fighting Tenna, getting the resolution, and then turning around, having Tenna killed while trying to save Toriel. Or at least, like, damaged. Heavily damaged. Kenna's heavily damaged, and seeing the knight just show up, scream like a beast. It was a monstrous enemy, and the fight was cataclysmic the first time. And then the proceeding after of, what was it? Undyne was her name. Showing up, and the knight kidnapping her, bringing her to the bunker. That's what I was waiting for. That's what I wanted to see in the story. And I think that this might just be like a writer thing, too. The idea of show, not tell. It's a video game. I want to be shown the story. I want to interpret it. I want to solve it. And there's so much to interpret in these games. I'm not going to say there's not. But I am going to say that I felt like I was having so much exposition literally shoved down my throat that I couldn't interpret anything. Like, maybe I did want to try and understand, just like understand and read the story off something. But no, I wanted to learn about the rumbling by some like passive storytelling, like just we'll get to this on chapter 4. But like we've seen these titans now, or at least I think. Like we've seen these titanic enemies, huge, literal like monsters. And that told me so much from like the way they were commanding the army in chapter 4 and everything that was happening. And then you have that happen, and Rousey just feels the need to say, oh, it's okay. In case you didn't get that, here's another 20 minutes. Here's a 20-minute, like, retelling of the environment for you. It's like, oh my god, Rousey, please! I'm trying to play the game. You don't need to hold my hands. I'm a grown robot. I don't know. I think that was maybe the thing that annoyed me the most about chapter 3. The storytelling was not there. And actually, I think that's also where I end chapter 3's talking. It had wondrous, wondrous story to tell, and it did not tell it. But instead, in its place, we got wondrous, wondrous mini-games. And I'm kind of okay with that. Because the mini-games were really good. I don't think the characters were nearly as polished. I don't remember the weather duo at all, until I literally saw them. And now I'm like, you know, you know, it is what it is. I think that I've been trying to rush through that all, because I want to get to chapter 4. Again, I'm late to the party on this. This game's been talked to death. Everyone knows about Deltarune, chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4. But everyone seems to just really like it, and I don't know much about opinions elsewise, unless you're specifically Loaf, in which case you spent 23 hours worth of Deltarune footage. By the way, I might leave the VOD. I might just connect all the stuff into one big VOD, in case you want to watch that. Because, like, it was good. But I didn't hear anyone dislike the game. I heard everyone really liked it. And I don't know. Chapter 4, I think, is what I found myself actually liking in the story. What got me interested in the game, the gameplay. Difficulty was scaling, finally. The game was getting harder. Well, that was actually one of my other issues. The game was getting too easy. I think the only thing that was like causing me major issues was the knight slapping me 50 ways to Friday. But chapter 4. Oh boy, chapter 4. Okay. Where do I start with this chapter? Chapter 4, I think, has the best characterization, the best gameplay, the best actual work on its storytelling. Chapter 4 is by far the best chapter in terms of talking about a good game. Chapter 2 is my favorite in terms of I thought Queen was funny and it made me laugh and go haha. But Chapter 4, objectively talking from being a good game, is stellar. I look at Deltarune Chapter 1 through 4 and I'm not thinking that like every single chapter is going to be an ace. But Chapter 4 stands so well over them. Chapter 4 sees us going to the church, trying to find information because of something we saw carved on that, like, the bunker. So we're trying to figure out about it in order to help Undyne get out of the bunker. And it really leads to so many really fun shenanigans, so many just goofy things, goofy things. It's really, really great, frankly. Just is. It was good. It was great. That part, and then we get started pretty immediately, actually, on, like, the Dark World segment after the Overworld happens, and we have... Oh, was Chapter 4 or Chapter 3 the one with the Susie and Noelle? I think it was Chapter 4. Susie and Noelle getting together to study for homework. The Overworld was great and actually memorable, because that was also when Chris was fighting the Soul. And the Soul was doing everything. I'm, like, pretty certain that that was Chris and them in Chapter 4. I don't think that was 3. Or I'm losing it entirely. Oh well. Either way. It's... Man. It was such a good segment for telling us about these characters. And that's exactly what I was looking for when I said show, not tell. Without Ralsei, I think literally Ralsei was supposed to be like... Ralsei almost feels like a mouthpiece for the story. If you don't understand, don't worry, Ralsei will tell you eventually. And if you do understand, well, don't worry, Ralsei is going to tell you anyways, and I hope you like 30-minute cutscenes. But without him, the story just had to play. You got to see these characters interact. You got to see Chris fight. You got Chris on the phone talking with someone who's clearly... Well, clearly they're actually nothing. They're just suspicious. And that's what's so cool. We don't know whose side Chris is on. So Chris is over here being suspicious and weird, and now we have a phone person who's also being suspicious and weird, and everyone's suspicious and weird, and everyone's scared, and it's concerning. So suddenly we almost have like a puzzle going on in our game where we don't know who to trust. And that's great. That's actually awesome. And we go on with this. And Chapter 4 is so good. I think almost because the entire time, and I hate to say this because I don't hate Ralsei as a character, I hate that he's used as a mouthpiece. Ralsei just doesn't get a lot of time this chapter. Because this chapter really feels like a lot of it has Ralsei being pretty harshly defamed for being a fraud and lying out of fear. Which was actually, like, horrifying to see. Because that was actually a really touching character moment to see for him. Growing, just telling us that it was fear the whole time. Because it's almost understandable. There's a lot of people who don't say things because they're afraid, and Ralsei wasn't even real and he still was afraid. He didn't even get a good chance, almost, to make his case for anyone, to do what he wanted. He instead spent the story being scared. And it looks like he's only going to be scared going forward. Because despite the fact that he kind of said, oh yeah, it's okay, we have the power of friendship and all, he didn't seem to perfectly understand what even he meant when he said that. He didn't understand, like, and process what other people were saying. I don't know if we can trust Ralsei as a narrator. I'm sure that's probably part of why he was so exposition dumpy, but... man, what an arc if there ever was one. That's jumping from the start to the end. It was just something I wanted to point out, because it was something I actually really appreciated. Was seeing that, because I don't know if it's intentional or not, honestly. Even from that, like, we have the Dark World segment itself, where we get to meet Gerson. Oh my god, Gerson! What a character! What a flippin' character, man. I think that Gerson single-handedly was one of the better characters in the story. He made me laugh so gosh darn much. And he just did so much of what I think was just good for helping character development again. He helped Susie so much, while not feeling overbearing. And also, he actually felt like he had a resolved character arc. But that was another thing I want to mention. I love the characters in this game. I love the way they're written. But none of them ever resolve their arcs, and that's driving me insane. Because I don't know what's going to happen with these characters. I don't. And it's like, what do I expect? What am I supposed to want from these characters? Do I want to see them again? Or do I want this to be the last of them? Because a lot of them, it feels like they're kind of villain of the week. And then you go back to your home base and Queen is sitting there staring at Ruxel, calling him a crappy lampshade. And it's like, huh? Like, it's funny, but what are you doing here? I get that's sort of the whole, like, My Castletown thing, but... oh, man, it's so random. It's so random. I don't know what else to call it other than random. But Gerson shows up and he has his arc in Chapter 4. He really spells it out for the player. And this was the moment where he kind of said, here's the difference. You are the player and you're leading the team. But the decisions of Chris don't matter. Your decisions don't matter. Because the people whose decisions do matter are already the ones who are making their decisions matter. I think something that I thought about when I was looking at it was Susie was feeling like she didn't have that kind of thing, as Gerson was telling her to write her own story. But looking back at it, Susie's been by far the most dominant force. If she says she's going to do something, she does it. It's actually great. That's amazing. I don't know what other words I can say for it. Susie was amazing in Chapter 4 with Gerson. And she performed even more past that, actually. The Dark World itself was just like, it was very pretty, it was very fun to play, the difficulty increase was nice, Gerson was a great time. But after you do the first one and you go to the, warped one that Susie makes, because of the way that those are, visualizations of people, it was weird to see some of it. Because suddenly we have a Gerson who was not friendly. And it makes you wonder what Susie thinks. Was she actually understanding, or was she also afraid? Honestly, which one of our main characters aren't afraid? Really, genuinely, which one of our main characters aren't afraid? We have a bunch of, literal high schoolers at best. maybe middle schoolers. And they're going and fighting titans. I know it's gotta be their imagination. But still, think about when you were younger. You would imagine demons and the boogeyman, and they'd scare you because they were meant to be scary. And this game is really, frankly, childhood fear almost in a form. Because think about that. You're fighting a titanic entity that you fear is going to end everything. That's horrifying. That's petrifying. Even as an adult, I'm sitting here thinking like, oh my god. What's happening to those poor kids? That's scary for me. And seeing Gerson turning, then going back and seeing who Gerson was. All of that into fighting the Knight again as the Knight unveils the Titan that I've kept mentioning this whole time. This catastrophic being. We just want to steal the fountain, and it's huge. It's a monster. It's a beast. I don't have words for it other than that. It's horrifying creature with thousands of minions crawling all over it. This unstoppable force. Oh, man. You go up the pillar, making your way up with your team, and you fight it. And that fight was awesome. Especially when we had Susie's idea of literally dunking Chris into a Titan like it's a basketball hoop. That was funny. That was really funny, honestly. I had a really good laugh when I saw that. Chapter 4, as a whole, being the chapter of just really taking your own choices, was amazing. I actually think that Chapter 4, like I said earlier, is one of the best chapters, just talking from purely a game creation standpoint because of that. Because just, oh my god, everything landed. My general consensus on Deltarune is I think that the game is not great right now. You have an over-glorified tutorial. You have a chapter that I probably am the only one who, like, significantly thinks is the best of the best, just because I like comedy, and I thought Queen was hilarious. You have Chapter 3, which I forgot entirely about. But then Chapter 4 does so much good. It's amazing. I want to see what the rest of these chapters are. That's my most infuriating thing. I want to see what happens for these characters. I do. But I have to wait for these chapters, and it's like, I almost wish that I could have just not seen this game almost, and had come back to play it once everything was released, you know? Just get it all at once then. I like Deltarune. I don't like Deltarune, but I like Deltarune. But I don't like Deltarune. I'd recommend it to you, but I'd also say don't play it yet. I'm conflicted. Deltarune is such a strange game. Because I can tell that Toby is clearly aware of his audience and doing what he thinks makes a good game. And I'll say that this just might not be my kind of game. But I wouldn't even say that, because I still found more than enough moments to like the game. I look forward to seeing this game going forward. Wow, why did I say it like that? I look forward to seeing this game as chapters come out. And I think that at some point I might come make another review on my thoughts of all the chapters once they're out. Because I want to see what the ending is. I want to know the story. That's the only thing holding me back right now from saying, go try this game, go get it, go buy it. Because as of right now, you're just kind of getting, to me, a package of good character moments, a few good scenes that are worth the chuckle, a really good meme about a deer running over another deer with a car, or a goat running over a deer with a car. But past that, like, Chapter 4 is really the only one I'd say is worth playing, but you need to have the preset knowledge of the first three, because it's all a story. And there is important enough things in the first few. I think that's just it. I don't think I can talk more. I don't think I want to, like, run out this time any more than I am. We're at 46 minutes. I've been talking about Deltarune for 46 minutes. Oh my god. Alright. Yeah, I'll wrap there. Thank you for watching this. Thank you for listening. I think Deltarune is genuinely a good game. And I'm looking forward to playing Undertale at some point. I haven't played Undertale, but I want to, like, look into it. Because I know that that one's, like, the world acclaimed one. And hey, it's done, so maybe I don't need to worry about an unfinished story.